Right, right, time two. Ah, the mic is not in. Good stuff. Let's get this mic in. Hopefully help. All right. Here we go. So we're live on YouTube. The mic's changed. That should be good. We should be live on LinkedIn now. The mic is on. We are rolling. All right. So weight loss versus PCOS. Everybody watching, welcome. Everybody watching on the replay, thanks for watching. So we are obviously the Mind Body Online team, and we help people all over the world just achieve great body transformations in a holistic way, meaning, you know, not crash diet. You're gonna lose a bit this year or a few months and then put it all back on. Not super dependence on us, like us having to hold your hands in the gym every single day. Literally creating independent life athletes all over the world in different types of ways, just getting great results. So we want to talk about PCOS in this particular presentation because it's something that, you know, a lot of people, a lot of women are dealing with. So we want to kind of give an in-depth over it, all right? Especially in the fact that there are a lot of things that, you know, women go through that we can kind of blame blame our weight loss on, right? You can blame the weight loss on, you know, to do with your hormones and whatnot, okay? And there is a scientific fact that weight loss is, you know, going to be slightly harder for women, or it's going to be slower for women than males, just because of the fluctuation in the main hormones being produced. However, it doesn't mean impossible, and it doesn't mean that you can't still lose, reach your goal in good time, and it doesn't mean that everybody's not an individual. So on that note, just to remind you again of what we do, so you know who we are, what we do, is we help people in these 4 aspects: nutrition, that's how to eat; sleep and recovery, you know, how to feel more energized; exercise, how to train and go hard on their own; and having a great mind and body connection. Just checking the LinkedIn crew. All right, cool. So a big percentage of the world is now insulin resistant. Okay. You know, you got the big percentage in America, you got still very big percentage in the UK. And then you've got a big percentage of women who have different autoimmune conditions. And the stats are looking around here, where about about 10% of women, or just slightly less, have PCOS. Okay. So to have PCOS, you generally need to have 2 or more of the conditions below. So, you know, no or irregular periods, an ovulation, hyperandrogenism, so where you're overproducing those male sex hormones, and or a buildup of cysts on the ovaries. Okay, so those are the conditions that you'd have to kind of cross for your doctor to tell you, hey, you've got PCOS. Okay, and they can do this and are allowed to do this without even testing, because as soon as you show signs of increased testosterone, or like missing periods and whatnot, they can say, okay, you've got 2 symptoms already, without even testing, and say, all right, you have PCOS. But the symptoms are, specifically are what may obviously more annoying, and what a lot of the clients that I've worked with have struggled with. All right, it's the symptoms more so that cause the problem. So, this can be like hair growth, unwanted hair growth, areas on your face and all over the body, which you just don't want to do, and you're gonna, you're getting maybe laser treatment or whatever to kind of get that away. So that can be obviously annoying. Irregular, non-existent periods, which is not only annoying, it's obviously dangerous, because obviously the endometrial lining, it's the clear out. It's that clear out that you need regularly, all right? And when that's not happening, you've got, risk of developing more serious conditions. See, pains, and some women as well can experience a lot of pains due to or as well as heavy bloating and inflammation, so mostly reacting to food. Weight gain around the stomach area. So this is kind of a bit diving into why we're here today and like what some people want to overcome. And then yeah, just the high levels of testosterone in general can cause a lot of different side effects as well. And then just the cysts on the ovary, so the pains as well that can come with that, and as well. So there's a lot of different symptoms that come with the PCOS, right? On top of these basic conditions that are used to diagnose you with it. So, we're thinking of how to reverse it, to solve it. That's one topic, right? That's a whole different topic. We're talking about the weight loss side of it and how to still lose weight regardless of having these type of diagnoses. It's something that we're probably going to dive into more on different topics, and Maya will dive into on different topics as well, because they're not death sentences, and they're definitely not something that you have to blame on your weight loss, or you at least have to kind of just give into. All right, you can definitely overcome them. Okay, so just in terms of resolving it, so just to brush over a little bit, it's all going to depend on what type of PCOS you have and what you're trying to solve. So what's the problem you're trying to solve? Are you trying to solve the infertility problem that comes with anovulation? Are you trying to solve the chronic inflammation, which is obviously uncomfortable? So obviously it's putting you in a bad position in terms of your health, so it's putting you at risk. Or you're trying to solve the weight gain and the insulin resistance side of things. So just as some guidance for you to take away, do your own research, and maybe talk to your doctor about, we're not coming and trying to sort of help you on this aspect, like, because that would be general, we can't do that. But, in terms of the anovulation, things that some women go down, the routes that some women go down is, ovulation induction techniques and therapies, or medications like Clomid or metformin. These are the more general ones that kind of go out there. I know from studies it says Clomid, with the general consensus is the Clomid is the one that works in terms of fertility, but in terms of just stimulating ovulation again, Maya, if you want to step in and add any that maybe one or two that you think could help, or maybe we'll just leave that there.
For the weight gain and the insulin resistance?
Yeah, we'll keep on to the weight gain and insulin resistance. So those are a few of the methods in terms of fertility, if you want to do. In terms of the chronic inflammation, then elimination diets, lifestyle management techniques kind of aimed at stress, right? So those are like for those two side of things, unless I'm missing anything. Want to dive in? Want to add your two? All right, no, okay, cool.
No, I think that you basically did that. I would probably say just in the chronic inflammation, actually for both, maybe the anovulation and the chronic inflammation, the biggest thing there for women is just really low omega-3 to 6 ratios. So a lot of times that's to look at for the chronic inflammation part, and also the fertility part, for sure.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Okay, so that as well. So these are some of the tools and things that you would look at. Obviously, you'd want to kind of more of a one-to-one approach if you're dealing with these two things. And then the weight gain and the insulin resistance is what we're more so talking about. Okay, so obviously there's some studies and a lot of people that say that PCOS doesn't cause weight gain. It doesn't affect your weight loss. Like you're making it all up basically, which for a lot of women can be frustrating. It can be hurtful, because directly it's not true, but obviously we know weight gain is caused by like the energy balance situation with eating too much, or not even eating too much, but just in terms of where they balance out, you're eating more than you would eat to maintain the weight or lose the weight. But we know that as a byproduct and indirectly, it 100% does affect weight gain, because of these three things I'm going to talk about. So there's a lot of different things that are a byproduct of symptoms like this and diagnosis like this that will cause weight gain to be hard, or to weight gain to happen. So firstly, the insulin resistance. All right. So obviously this is like when your body is no longer as sensitive as it was to insulin, and lowering blood sugar levels are become harder for the body. Okay. So some things that we want to do, and I'll leave the floor open to Maya as well, is you want to change the sort of carbs that you're having and kind of cut down on the refined carbohydrates that you're having. All right. So going for more low GI carbs. you know, like your your sweet potatoes, you know, your brown rices and stuff like that, and your and more vegetables, using up vegetables as more so your carbs as well. So not just like your Bob standard rices, the pastas, hard potatoes. Like you want to kind of a bit more veg in that diet as well, right? And just push the refined carbs out a bit. Strength training for the purpose of increasing muscle mass as well. It's going to do really good for getting your body sensitive to insulin again. Reducing processed foods is going to be good for everything in your whole life, basically, and exercise in general. All right. So these are some of the things that's going to help with that side, and what can, you know, the problems that can arise with that. Maya, take it away.
Yeah, so I don't think I can disagree with, especially the first one, low GI carbs, vegetables, you know, over refined carbs. That's a big one. One other one too that a lot of people with PCOS might have trouble with is dairy, because dairy
Yeah.
can be a big inflammatory protein, unfortunately, for some people. So
Even low fat as well, right? Because a lot of people think low fat means it's better, but sometimes even that even does worse.
low fat is better. Yeah, I would just say it's just depends on the protein, you know, the dairy protein. So if it's because
Yeah.
it, you know, causes inflammation in some
Yes.
people, so that they don't tolerate it so well.
Yeah.
Then the fixes again would be back with those healthy fats. So here you're kind of looking at the balance of, yeah, you're lowering the blood sugar with lower carbohydrates, but you're also increasing a little bit of the healthy fats. So that would be one point there. Reducing processed foods and exercise in general. Yeah, there's not really much more to add to that. For the exercise, I would say one thing though, is that even though you would be weightlifting and even though you would be trying to build more muscle mass, one thing that I have found with people with PCOS is that you don't have to be doing an extreme amount of cardio because you don't want to increase stress levels.
Yeah.
And there are some types of PCOS that do have increased amounts of stress hormones. So with the weight training and the strength training, this is where it's really important to be doing a really concentrated weight training and not over excess cardio, honestly.
100%.
Yeah.
Some people use that as like as a pass, a get out of work pass, but you shouldn't use it as that, because it's a fine balance, right? You do want to be doing some strength training and some exercise and some high intensity training if you can do it. It's just about listening to your body. That's all it is, you know. A lot of people get fixated on the exercise side of things because they want to lose weight fast. So they go and start doing 5+ exercise workouts every day, following some YouTube stuff, just trying to go super hard. And for you and your body, you know, it's not that. Doesn't mean don't do it. You know, if you could do 4 sessions with a mix, which is what we always recommend, 2S, 2H, with a mix of strength and HIIT workouts, and, you know, not overdo it, and then you're still getting the benefits, you're still seeing the results, and it's still helping your you know, insulin sensitivity without, you know, causing more issues. Okay, so in terms of, like, you know, another thing, the hormone imbalance, this is the bloating, the inflammation, and basically the effects of all of these things on your mood. And what I mean when I say that is because we know success in anything, but especially weight loss, not especially, like literally anything, but in this instance, weight loss, it comes through consistency over time. So consistency of doing the right things over a sustained period of time. But what we do find is that when your hormones are all out of whack, right, it is hard, you know, to stay same, do the same things, eat the right foods consistently, you know, train consistently, and not basically feel like giving up, or you know, just like throwing everything away like every other day. All right, it can be very, you know, hard not to do that. So we want to kind of get the body to homeostasis by just living that holistic mind body lifestyle, as I called it here. Increase your water intake, you know, meditate, yoga, reduce processed foods, even reducing meats a little bit. All right, like studies do show that, it's reducing meat just a little bit, and some people with PCOS does help. All right, and that doesn't mean completely getting rid of it, but it just means just reducing the amount and the quantity. Maybe like mixing up maybe one meat option per day or something like that, as opposed to every single meal, or having a meatless days or stuff like that, which is, some people like just, it's based on what the studies say, and based on what we see, based on even myself, right? I've, toyed with like flexitarian diets, and I know that, meat, the negatives versus the positives is obviously in favor of actually having meat in your diet, but there's definitely benefits to not having meat every single meal and every single day. I 100%, just from my own experience, have found that, right? And then, so that's the first thing you want to do, making those sort of lifestyle changes. Then the second thing you want to do, get some accountability. Now, I would obviously suggest, as a coach, bias, right? But I suggest obviously a coach. But all it really is you need someone that can keep you grounded and focused and consistent. Okay, because otherwise, like we said, when you're mood and you have those off days, it is so easy. Like, I mean, look, you are not to throw anyone on the bus, but you can probably think of our clients with PCOS, man, right? And you can think about any of our clients with PCOS, and you think of, not all, but some, and think of a month, all right? And think of, without yourself and you keeping them accountable, and think of how many times you think they would have thrown it all away, not thrown it all away per se, but kind of, I can't do it today. I really don't think about it. All right. Just in data, right? What would you say? Yeah. Would
Yeah,
you agree? It's a
okay.
big, it's a wild one, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? We've got to be honest with the people. So what I'm trying to show you is that your moods are not going to be as consistent as a man in his early 30s or late 20s. You're gonna have more fluctuation. You're gonna have more times where you just want to say, sod it, and just, forget the whole dieting, eat some really bad food, so having someone to keep you grounded, for you specifically, if you're, dealing with these hormonal balances, is even more key. And I'm going to give you an example of someone that was really important to as well. All right. Anything you want to mention as well?
Well, I just think, going off the point that when you talked about, our own clients, personal clients or women, period, in that situation, of course, it's definitely more difficult because we have more insulin resistance in that situation. And like, there's the emotional part, and then there's the cravings part. And then there's
Yeah.
women who don't have an ovulation, but actually they've seen their fertility or their menstrual cycles improve. And so, to add to that, I think with PCOS, we're not just treating the person who wants to lose weight. We're actually trying to put the condition, I don't want to say in remission, but try to keep it at bay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think there's those two points that are really important to address. It's not just about weight loss, but that's the biggest benefit that will help keep it definitely under wraps.
Okay, 100%.
Yep.
I feel like is that the same thing? Okay, no. So this was kind of inflammation on mood, and then we're talking about just chronic inflammation on its own, because obviously that puts you at a risk of most diseases, right? Like, I think like studies nowadays, a lot of them are saying that a lot of these diseases and cancer, stuff like that, like, root from inflammation around the body. So it's a big thing, big problem. And obviously, if you're, inflamed through this, it can, cause further issues. So, just some types of elimination diet. So like Maya said, first thing a lot of people want to look at is removing dairy. All right, because it's, especially if you're having it frequently, you want to look at that. Then reducing meat, like I was saying about the flexitarian diet, in my opinion. I don't know. Do you agree on that, Maya? I know you're a big meat eater.
Meat eater. I wouldn't say I disagree. I would just say that possibly some types of cuts of meat might not be as best, especially,
What do you think, Reg?
when you see the people nowadays put out the charcuterie boards, and they've got all that red meat,
Yeah.
processed meats. like that kind of stuff, I would definitely stay away from. I think here it wouldn't be so much about reducing meat, it would actually be about increasing fish intake.
I get all
Um,
the fats and omegas. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, totally. And then also to be able to hit some kind of a protein target. And
Mm.
then maybe looking at actually having things that are plant-based proteins. So I
Yeah,
would,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
right?
100%. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is reducing meat. It's not it's not the easy thing to hear, but it is reducing the meat, right? Like if you're increasing the fish protein or if you're
Yeah.
increasing the plant based, you are slightly reducing meat. So it's never, we're not saying on this side we don't believe in removing meat of well, I don't, but we are saying that kind of just reducing it will be beneficial, especially that red meat, basically in this
Mhm.
position. For most people, they don't have a problem with it, right? You shouldn't have an issue. Okay, and then I definitely like say head into a functional medicine practitioner like Maya, who can kind of look at what you've been through health wise throughout your life
Mhm.
and do testing, right, to kind of find the root causes. Maybe it's a gut health issue, maybe it's the stress, chronic stress issue, maybe something that you're eating, that you're reacting to, whatever, and then that might lead to elimination diet, that might lead to whatever. So yeah, these are digging into like real ways of improving it and just in yourself as well. But it's important because when these sort of things are happening, whether it's the mood changes, the inflammation, the insulin resistance, they're all going to make weight loss hard. And it's already something that, takes a lot of dedication and consistency. So we don't want to make it any harder than it needs to be. And then also this is more of your health, right? Which is the long-term fix, so you need, your health to be important, even when you've lost the weight, because a lot of people and women with PCOS are not overweight, actually normal size, and they don't need to lose any weight. So this it's important in general. All right, so just to finish off as well, what we do over here on Mind Body Online and in our programs is it falls in line with exactly what you kind of want to do, and if you have PCOS and you want to lose weight. All right, because a lot of our clients see results with us out us even targeting their PCOS specifically. All right, so we've got like a CSCS approach, which I'll explain to you in a bit, and this is what we use with Lucy, and she's down over 3 stones, and yeah, it has been super consistent. All right, and it's just tied in with all the things that we've kind of explained. So obviously CSCS would be focusing on your calories, how much of them, what they consist of, you think about them when you're having them, your steps, your movement, your non-exercise activity, your exercise in general. So everything around that, which type you're doing, we obviously create a very unique plan in that way with your food and your exercise and your sleep as well. So everything we do, we track and these metrics, and we just create a very unique plan for you. Make sure you can hit those markers because they're very unique to you, and then we just hold you accountable, right? With we got regular sort of performance assessments, a great community that we can just make sure you follow this plan that we built for you, and for a consistent period of time, so you can get some great results. So that is how we do it. All right. So I'll open up for any questions. I'm just gonna check what we're doing on LinkedIn. Definitely something going on with my LinkedIn. That's another story. We'll have to get onto LinkedIn and ask them some questions. But for anyone watching as well, if you have benefited from anything that I've said today, if it's making sense to you, if you want to know more, or you just know that you need that help, then we do have no obligation to sign up calls that you can book with us. You can scan that barcode, you can click any link that you've seen that leads to these calls and book a call with us where we'll just literally tell you what we would do to get you to your goal. Obviously, to do that, we've got to find out everything about your goal, but we'll tell you what we would do, give you the roadmap, and then it's up for you to kind of decide whether or not you feel you need us or want to work with us, or if you want to try and go at it alone. All right. And obviously we want to make sure you're a right fit for us as well. So, if you want to have an introduction call, 20, 30 minutes, 20 up, minimum 20 minutes, yeah, we can definitely have that. Maya, do you want to add anything?
No, I think we hit the nail on the head pretty well. There's many different types of there's four types of PCOS, and there's different ways to treat it. And one thing I did want to add was just that, a lot of times with these kind of conditions, that when we talk to our doctors, they don't really listen to us sometimes if we don't have good practitioners. So one thing that I like to help my clients with is how to speak to your doctor and how to ask for certain testing if I can't get it for you for some reason. Um,
Yeah, that's
so I
very
think that's
powerful.
another thing too, how to speak to your doctor in these situations to make sure that you're having good care from us and from other collaborators.
Which is very, very powerful because there are symptoms from PCOS, like with anything that, or any autoimmune conditions, that can lead to really, really worse things, right?
Yeah.
And then when we are giving a wishy-washy sort of treatment or handling, it puts you at risk. So yeah, how to talk to doctors is super important because we don't want to kind of keep just getting these symptoms. Like anovulation can be dangerous over time. Inflammation can be dangerous over time. So we don't want those to keep happening. You got to try and find a root cause. And so sometimes, yeah, it's not even their fault. Sometimes the doctors are just overloaded and they're just too busy, overcrowded, and yeah, they've got to do what they can do. So even giving them a bit of help is beneficial if you know what to ask for.
Totally.
But
And
we
that's the
hope you
last thing. Mhm.
yeah. Okay. We hope you've enjoyed this. YouTube, LinkedIn, everybody watching on the replay, we appreciate you. We'll be back next week with more specific things as well on how to improve your health. Any questions, any topics you want to, you want us to cover.